Yes, friends, we are back. Hit you with the old intro. That's right, 2020. 4 years ago, I made that intro for Football Therapy, and the OGs of you out there, the real ones, the GOAT gang, will remember. And you know what? I have no favorites. New subscribers, old subscribers, I love you all the same. So, welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy, with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well. And yes, this is your morning Chelsea news video, the briefing. 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. Strap yourselves in. We're reacting to a Twomey article on The Athletic called The Chelsea Depth Chart. What is their succession plan for each position? And of course, with Chelsea, it's the great unknown, right? This team that no one really knows much about, constantly buying talent, looked pretty good at the end of last season, got some very exciting players, and they got a new gaffer, which we don't know how he's going to do. There's like more young talent coming in, and we really don't know where players stand in terms of the hierarchy. Of course, there'll be a meritocracy to that, and we're going to get into it today and react to Twomey's article. I really like Liam Twomey, by the way. I think he's a good writer. I think he speaks very well about Chelsea. So I'm looking forward to reacting to this insight with you here on the channel. Yes, so thanks for joining me, guys. We are on the road to 185,000 subscribers. I think we're very close now. So if you're a regular viewer of the content and you're yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. It would be helpful. It would be helpful if you did that. And if you do subscribe, you should hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Bit of a low one for you today. Look, off the bat, felicitations, congratulations to Georgia. Incredible, man, in the Euros, beating Portugal 2-0 with Kvaratskhelia scoring the opener. Mamadashvili in goal, amazing goal. Look at me just reel off these names. It takes a while, but you get there. I remember when I first tried to learn to say Borussia Mönchengladbach. We all graduate eventually in learning to say foreign words. Yeah, incredible scenes. You know, the biggest discrepancy in FIFA rankings, or UEFA rankings, I don't know which one it is, between Portugal, who are 6th, and Georgia, who are like 75th or 6th or something. I don't know what they are, but it's crazy. Of course, Portugal, had already topped the group. They will go on to play Spain, Georgia. But amazing story, nonetheless. So I wanted to reflect on that. All right, let's get into this article. Twomey writes, another week, another teenage signing for Chelsea. This time it's Mark Gue, an 18-year-old Barcelona striker who will move to Stamford Bridge on a 6-year contract after the £5 million move buyout clause was triggered. The view is to incorporate Gue into the head coach Enzo Maresca's first team squad immediately, rather than him having play academy football. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to sip my coffee now for those listening. Put a bit of MCT oil in the coffee because it helps you not get hungry. And I'm a bit doughy at the moment, trying to lose a bit of weight. So yeah, there's a little bit of insight into my little world. Yeah, obviously a huge talking point, Gue, coming to Chelsea because he is being given significant wages. And that was a tell early doors that this geezer isn't being brought in to play kids football. But it's since been confirmed by Ben Jacobs, Fab Romano, and indeed Liam Twomey here. And even if the Athletic, David Ornstein comes out with some absolute crackers, but for example the Chelsea boys, Johnson, Twomey, even if they don't come with like breaking news, when they say news, you know it's generally been confirmed and ratified and all that kind of stuff by then. Do not expect Chelsea to deviate from their youth-focused recruitment strategy anytime soon. Of course, the co-sporting directors Stuart and Winstanley have been tasked by owners Clearlake Capital and Todd Bowley to target the best young talent in world football, plotting moves as much as 4 transfer windows in advance. Wow. And succession planning years ahead. Yeah. Succession planning is important, you'd have to say, rather than leaving you like, you know, with your pants down in the, you know, basically leaving you in an opportunity where Christensen and Rudiger leave on free transfers in the same transfer window to Barcelona and Real Madrid, respectively. That's being caught with your pants down and not future planning. So essentially, hopefully, the opposite of that. Chelsea's goal is to reach a point at which their squad will never again be short on elite talent in any area, regardless of which individual player is sold or leaves. Sounds great. So, how are things looking on that front? Sounds ambitious, by the way. Oh yeah, we've just got superstars in every position, mate, and we can rotate. Superstar. You're all right, mate. Oh, look. I'm hopeful, but I will believe it when I see it. You know, God, I'm sweating it. I've turned my hopefully you guys can't hear the fan, but you don't want to see a man melt on YouTube. Or you probably would actually. You bloody sickos. Okay, I've read that part. So how are things looking on that front? Well, in full knowledge that there are further transfers this summer and the windows beyond are likely to alter the picture, The Athletic takes a closer look. He's put a graphic here with all the potential players and backups. I was going to put that on the screen, but it's so small and detailed, it would probably be hard for most of you to see. And we're going to go through the positions and players now anyway, so, like, let's just get into it. Left back / left wing back. Left back. Most clubs would be happy to have a fit Ben Chilwell, who's still only 27, of course, as their first choice on the left side of the fence, though that version of the 21 cap England international has become increasingly theoretical over his past 2 injury-hit seasons. Chelsea, you could say Chelsea has become increasingly theoretical, couldn't you? Over his 2 years, he's been screwed injury-wise 2 seasons. The renaissance from Marc Cucurella, who's of course 2 years younger than Chile, he's 25, Cucurella, has raised hopes he's capable of being an alternative, even if he never fully justifies the £63 million fee paid for him in 2022. Yeah, that is crazy peas. The sale of 19-year-old Lewis Hall and, of course, the anticipated departure of the 22-year-old Martson has removed the most obvious succession plans, but Chelsea have at least 2 academy graduates they hope can grow into some serious alternatives over the next 2 to 3 years, which you'd think we've got time for that with Cuckoo and Chile. But, of course, let's talk about Chelsea wanting to buy a left-back still as well. Of course, we've got Samuel Smith, who's only 18, and we've got Somto Boniface, who has more clarity regarding his contract situation. A couple of left-backs in the academy there. Obviously, Samuel Smith is a name I've heard of a bit more of. So let's go to left centre-back, because this is where it's going to get really interesting for me, friends. Chelsea believe they have the 2 best players aged 23 or younger for this position, who aren't Man City's Josko Gvardiol. So Levi Colwill, of course, is still only 21, is regarded as untouchable. We know Brighton obviously wanted to try and buy him. We know Liverpool came in hard for him, and we know Bayern Munich are very interested in him. But he's untouchable and is a possible future club captain. But Benoit Badiashiel's 23. That's young. Will push him hard for starting minutes under Maresca. Will he? Will he? Great if he does. I'm backing him, but yeah, man. Has a lot of fans around the Cobham training centre desperately, starting minutes under Maresca, and he has a lot of fans around Cobham training centre despite relatively erratic form since joining from Monaco. So apparently, Badiashile, like Toomey writes here, erratic form, but still has a lot of believers at Chelsea. Fair enough. I hope he does really well, Big Ben. Behind them on the depth chart, of course, is Bashir Humphreys, who, by the way, is a 6th centre-back. He's talented, but he's got a less clear path to the first-team role after a difficult year on loan at Swansea in the Champ. English football second tier, Samuel Smith is a strong future option here too, while positionally versatile Murray Campbell, who's 17 years old, is looking to build on his progress in the Chelsea development squad. So young players coming through there. Of course, Chelsea will continue to buy teenagers. We've got, we're looking at that Argentina Boca Juniors teenage centre-back as well. If he comes in, many of the academy players might be worried because there's a significant investment there. So, right centre-back. The hierarchy here is in flux. Chelsea would love, and by the way, you know me guys, you watch my content, so would I, love Wesley Fofana to return to the level of form that of course persuaded them to pay 70 million, it's actually 69 million, in the summer of 2022. I believe, if Wesley Fofana, who is only 23, very young for a centre back, I will die on this hill. He could be the best centre back in the Premier League. I said it. But yeah, it's obviously he had that terrible injury, and we don't know how good he's going to return, let alone when. Do you know what I mean? So I dig it. Do you know what I mean? It's tricky. If he does, this spot will be his for a long time. And like I've said, Cole and Fofana, but we'll see. If he cannot, of course, Disassi, who's 26, senior, offers a serviceable physical presence, while new free agent Tosin Adarabioyo, Tosin's also 26, the same age as Disassi, will come in with the advantage of familiarity with Maresca and his stylistic demands, as both having previously been at Manchester City. I believe, personally, Tosin is, as things stand, is the starter for Chelsea on the right side, because he's in high demand. Loads of clubs wanted him. He came to Chelsea. Obviously, he doesn't have to move, and he'll get good wages, and Chelsea's a big club and stuff. But he did have other, Man United were looking at him, other teams were looking at him, and I have a feeling, because he was playing well for Fulham, and he's been playing well in the Premier League recently, and he's tall, and we've been looking for tall players, I just think you'd slam dunk Tosin straight into the right centre-back spot, and you sort of keep an eye on Fofana and be like, come on, can you be reborn, do you know what I mean, and come back into the player you should be. Of course, proving people wrong has been a recurring theme for Trevoh Chalobah, who's 24, during his career at Stamford Bridge, but Chelsea are not planning for him to be a key piece. I feel bad for Trevoh. Similarly, I feel bad for Conor Gallagher, just catching loads of hate from certain Chelsea fans, and now England media as well. All he's doing is trying hard and being a professional and being good at what he's good at, and he still gets loads of abuse. I don't like it. It's out of order. So Chelsea aren't planning for Trevoh Chalobah. That's the way it is. So this is what I spoke about earlier. A deal is completed for Boca Juniors prospect Aaron Alsamino. The 19-year-old will become the obvious hope for the future of Chelsea's defence. A deal is completed. Had I missed that? Oh, okay. I mean, it links an article from the 20th, which is a full week ago, saying Chelsea are having talks, but apparently it's completed. All right. Fair enough. What do you think about Anselmino? Comment down below. Let's keep going. Right back, right wing back. Of course, how much stronger could you be? Club captain Reece James, 24, is one of the world's best fullbacks when fit, but even his prolonged absence from the season was not the disaster it might have previously been, because Malo Gusto, who's 3 years younger at the age of 21, blossomed into an above-average Premier League starter. Keeping them both happy might prove to be the biggest challenge. I kind of think calling Malo Gusto an above-average Premier League starter it sounds like a bit of a neg. He was largely excellent, broadly excellent in many games, but I'd say very good. Not above average, but I don't know, maybe he's just being reserved there. I'm going to pause while I sip my coffee so there's not just dead airtime. We back. All right, Joshua Chimpong, of course, 18-year-old academy prospect who made his Premier League debut off the bench against Tottenham. Played only a few minutes, but looked very good. He's highly rated internally at Chelsea and is the third option behind James and Gusto. Of course, we nearly signed Pedro Lima, but too much money, and Chelsea were like, well, Chimpong is sick, so we just don't need to. Many of the homosexuals at Chelsea, the Chelsea fans of the academy, and rightly so, will be very happy with this decision. He is a big reason why parent company Blueco opted. There you go. It references here Pedro Lima, and he was going to be for Strasbourg and not Chelsea. Should we have signed him because Chimpong is sick? Yes. All right. Let's move on to defensive midfield. There are up to 115 million reasons why Moises Caicedo should be expected to operate at the base of Chelsea's midfield for years to come after a huge move from Brighton. Of course, many of you would have seen for Ecuador yesterday, Caicedo won man of the match. Apparently he was brutalised in that game in terms of enduring loads of fouls. But yeah, he played well, won the man of the match. And of course, we saw young Kendry Pius be the second youngest player to ever score at the Copa America. And you've seen it. He dropped the Cole Palmer celebration after Esteban Willian did it for playing Palmeiras in Brazil. They're all doing it. They're all excited to be coming to Chelsea. And I must say, I'm gassed they're coming to Chelsea as well. Look, it's fun, isn't it? Let's carry on the midfielders. How the pecking order shakes out after him will depend in part on who Maresca prefers as a number 6 or a number 8. But the Italian's technical focus is one factor, and why Andre Santos, of course the young 20-year-old Brazilian, is viewed more likely as a first-team fixture than, of course, Leslie Ugochukwu, the young French international who's also 20. Probably will get, I imagine, loaned, maybe possibly sold. I don't know, probably loaned. He's got Strasbourg written all over him, hasn't he? Chelsea have also high hopes for Ollie Harrison. He's only 16 years old, who made the bench for the 1-1 Premier League draw away to Man City in February, and hoping he can continue to make strides in his development. Alright, so right midfield winger. Interesting how it's put like this. I think Tuimi's writing it like this because of Maresca's system. Because, perhaps it's just as well that Chelsea did not sign Crystal Palace's Michael Olise. Why is that, Tuimi? Cole Palmer, 22, is the best player at Stamford Bridge after a terrific debut season. And while he can operate as a number 10 or even a false 9, he most flourished starting on the right wing for then-coach Pochettino. Madueke, who's of course 22 also, like Palmer, improved over the course of last season, producing his most consistent impact football in the final months of last campaign, of course. Competition in this area of the pitch will grow even more fierce in the next 2025 with the arrivals of the exceptional South American teenagers, of course, Esteban Willian, he's 17, and Kendry Pires is 17 also, though the former is primarily seen as a number 10, see below. I thought Pires is, does he mean the latter? Because I thought Esteban Willian plays on the right, Pires is more central. Still, there's flexibility there, so everyone can sort of float around and move. And of course, there's Omari Hutchinson, who's only 20, is a prime candidate to be sold in the window to offset recruitment. And while Angelo Gabriel, who's 19, and Diego Moreira is 19, are talented enough to change the plan in time, both are most probably development projects undertaken with a view for future sales. Portfolio players. So even though Chelsea fans like them, because we're, unless you're buying bums that can't do anything, you're going to have certain affection to these players. Hutchison, Gabriel, and Moreira are probably good players and we're going to make money out of them, but they're probably not going to feature because we've got Madueke, Palmer, Esteban, Paez. Do you know what I mean? So let's move on and get into the midfield a bit further up. Similar to Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, of course 23, a bit grumpy as well, we spoke about that in yesterday's video, will be a key part of the Chelsea project for as long as he wants to be. If he can stay fit after a debut year of almost totally lost to injuries, Romeo Lavia, we've moved on, Romeo Lavia, who's 20, will be expected to finally show why he was such a large investment was made last summer. Of course, he's a Joe Shields boy, isn't he? We've got to believe Lavia's a really excellent signing because Cole Palmer was, and Shields seems to be the boy at Chelsea. So listen to him. Lavia's health and success will become even more important, of course, if Conor Gallagher, who's 24, is sold in the coming weeks and months. Still up in the air, Conor Gallagher. That'll be very interesting to see how that story develops. And of course, we will cover it here on the channel. Chelsea's most promising development squad options are Dyer, who's 17, Golding, who's 18, but both are in the final 2 years of their contract. So we'll see what happens there. We're going to get into the front line. Left midfield / left winger. So Raheem Sterling is 29 years old. The elder statesman of this team. He is now, isn't he? The oldest player, not even 30. How old's Bettinelli? Is he 30 yet? Because he was late 20s when we signed him. He must be 30s. As well as being by far Chelsea's highest player. Chelsea would love him to be displaced in the starting 11 before his contract expires in 2027, and his dream scenario would be for Mykhailo Mudryk to be the man to do it, though the Ukrainian remains a frighteningly flawed project. Yeah, just quickly, I'll give you my thoughts. And also, he's spoken about Tyreek George here. He's an outstanding talent in the development squad. He's recently extended his contract. Nothing here should scare him. Yeah, great. Positive news. Those of you who knows Tyreek George, young player, very exciting. Pleased he's committed to a longer deal. So let's talk about Sterling and Mudryk quickly. Sterling, I'm not putting the farm on it, but I've speculated that Raheem Sterling could do well in Enzo Maresca's system. His type of football, I think that would suit and play to Sterling's strengths far more than Pochettino, Potter, Lampard, Saltor, even Tuchel. Yeah, Tuchel as well. I do think Maresca, in theory, should suit Sterling, and if he wants that senior guy who's going to take on that Pep Guardiola-style football, Sterling might do well. Maybe not. Maybe we'll just say, look, let's build for the future. Mudryk, we've said this over and over and over. Amazing talent in moments, unique raw ability. 23, going on 24. Is it going to happen for him? Or is he forever going to be this guy that looks like in moments he could be an absolute superstar, but just never kicked on for one reason or another? Goldberg often says it's do or don't for him this season. Like, this is the decisive season for Madrid. We will see. Central attacking midfield, of course, a player that I think is an absolute world-class superstar that we haven't seen the best of yet is 26-year-old Christopher Nkunku, aka Christo. Could be placed in almost any position in Chelsea's attacking depth chart, but the Frenchman is best deployed as a connecting forward. So for the number 10, I think, get some consistent football out of Nkunku. It's very, very exciting. The truth is, man, we've got so much exciting stuff to potentially happen. Nkunku, I know that was lame in the beginning of last season, and this is not the way to justify how good a team is, but he was Chelsea's highest ranked FIFA player. He is that most Galactico level player, like more than World Cup winning Enzo Fernandez, more than, Reece James, who's always been rated highly, Champions League winner. It's Nkunku. He's like the lethal guy. I want to see it. Carney Chukwuemeka, 20 years old as well, is more of a natural number 10. And out of all our players, if we were going to stick to a 4-2-3-1, like not a Maresca system, but a classic 4-2-3-1, there's a very strong argument that Carney Chukwuemeka should be the starting number 10 in terms of his play style and linking play, scoring goals, not getting bullied as well in that hole behind the striker. Very, very exciting player. And of course, he had an injury hit this season as well. Esteval is the long-term plan here. So Trumi was right. It's not Paez, it's Esteval here. He's the long-term plan here, though. Chelsea believe they have signed potentially the best Brazilian talent since Neymar emerged more than a decade ago, and they aim to give him the room to showcase his dazzling gifts as soon as he arrives at Stamford Bridge next year. Ooh, it's exciting. It is exciting. Neymar came out recently and said he's the best thing to come out of Brazil. Not since me, but that's what he meant. He says he's going to be a genius. He's a Chelsea player. You're allowed to be excited about that. The spectre on the horizon makes the outlook considerably bleaker for 20-year-old Cassidy, and probably would be sold, despite playing under Maresca, of course, at Leicester. And it's hard to see a pathway for Leo Castledine, he's 19, who was overlooked by Pochettino throughout last season. All of this without considering 18-year-old Amari Kellyman, who's going to arrive from Aston Villa as well. Yeah, lots of young number 10s coming through. Let's talk about strikers. Nico Jackson, 23 years old. And this is interesting. He is the clear first choice striker for Chelsea after a fluctuating but ultimately promising debut season. Chelsea want to push him to improve rather than upgrade on him. I feel pretty good about that, actually. It is too soon to know if teenager Gu is a player to do that, but Bria will not be. He will be sold, probably, of course. Datro Fofana is another player that could be sold. I ain't got an issue with that. David Washington looks ready for more first-team opportunities, probably a loan. I think he's a prolific academy goal scorer, it says here, so I'm cool with that. Donnell McNeely, he's 18, might have even more long-term upside if Chelsea can secure his future beyond next summer. Yeah, so Donnell McNeely is like a goal machine in the academy. And of course, we've got Dujan Whispers, the Jamaican kid called Whisper. He remains something of a developmental wild card. But there are options there, bro. there we have it. That's like the future planning now. Players to be brought in. You know, we've spoken about Gu coming in and possibly 1 or 2 more. You could talk about a goalkeeper maybe coming in. You know, I spoke about Georgia at the top of the video. Mamadashvili, someone we've looked at, like probably suit the style of play. But when you look at the squad, top to bottom, it's pretty exciting. I'm actually pretty happy about that. So I want to put it out to you guys. As always, let me know what you think. How do you feel about it? I can't wait to read your comments, as always. Great conversation down in the comment section below. Thank you, as always, for your support, for liking the video and subscribing and all that good stuff. And keep it locked. If you do choose to subscribe, turn the bell on, because lots of uploads bringing you the latest commentary and Chelsea news. So take care of yourselves, friends. Peace.